Hello, my miraculous friend, and welcome to the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. This is Reverend Frances Baden, and I'm so excited to be with you today because I have a guest. I've been telling you about this guest for the last several weeks to help you unblock your money miracle. So excited. But before we get started, I like to always start the way that I do by taking a few deep breaths together. Let us get ourselves grounded and centered, allowing ourselves to just focus on our breathing. As always, if you're driving, keep your eyes open. But even if you're driving, you can still bring your awareness to your breath. And notice as you're bringing your awareness there, it calms down, helps us to be open and receptive. And whatever it is that you're needing to hear today, whatever inspiration or information you need to magnify your miracle, to unblock your money miracle, you're going to hear that today. I know it. I can feel it. So let's take one more deep breath together in gratitude, and we can begin. All right. Well, hello again, my miraculous friends. And I'm just so grateful to be able to introduce you to somebody who I had a wonderful experience with, who's going to help you in this topic of unblocking your money miracle. I'm going to be telling you a little bit later on about my personal experience with her, because all of you know that I do not bring anybody on to this podcast unless I can stand behind them and say, oh no, this person is the real deal, and that they have a miracle story or a miracle related story that they can share with you. That's my promise to you. I will only bring on people that I know can help you to magnify your miracles. Otherwise, I'd rather just tell you about another wonderful book that I'm reading, because I want to keep you in that miracle energy as much as possible. That's why I'm just so delighted to share with you and introduce you to my colleague, Nancy Linnerooth. I want to tell you a little bit about Nancy, and then we'll have her coming on here. Business owners come to Nancy Linnerooth, procrastination coach and EFT specialist. She'll be telling you more about that. They come to uncover and release their subconscious blocks to creating the business and the life that they are meant to have. Using tapping, she gets rid of the blocks that lead to procrastination, avoidance, self-sabotage, and money problems. That's why we're talking today. And when those blocks are gone, they are gone for good. How's that for a miracle? The other thing I love about Nancy is that she comes to this work with a master's degree and over 17 years of experience as a talk therapist and 9 years as an attorney with a degree from Harvard Law School. I love that. I love that you have a degree from Harvard Law School. It's so awesome. So my friend, welcome, Nancy.
Oh, thank you, Frances. Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
I'm just so happy to have you here. I feel like I could talk to you for like the next 3 days. So we're going to be talking about all kinds of things, but I want to know from your perspective as a Harvard law person, what's your definition of a miracle? How do you hold this concept of miracles?
Oh, I'd go to the dictionary for that to be really, really official. But I have to say, if I can tell a little story about that.
Yes, tell us.
Every now and then, something will happen in a session with a client, and I'll after the session, I'll go find my husband and I'll grab his collar and I'll just yell at him, "I do miracles!" But it's because I don't think I'm doing it. It's
right.
Coming through. It's something that comes through you that you can't really explain fully. It's coming from somewhere else. So
yeah.
For what it's worth, that's my definition.
Absolutely. It's something that comes through you. And I love that, because I think that's what it is for all of us that are light workers on the planet. We know that we're really just the conduits, but thank goodness there are people like you who are willing to be that channel and be that conduit for people. So I want to share with people my experience that Nancy and I were at a business conference back in January, and we're at a training. And I unfortunately missed the first day of my training because I had a massive migraine, really bad migraine. And it was a lot of stress that happened before I got to the training. I ended up spending the first day up in the hotel. And the second day I was better. But then as I was sitting there, it started to kind of come back again. And she could see that I was in pain. And she very graciously came up to me and said, well, I don't really specialize in pain per se. I've done some things, but maybe I can help you. And I said, oh, please, anything to help me. And at the lunch break, it took about 10 minutes, but she was able to help me through the tapping process to uncover what was going on. And I was floored to find out that my migraine was actually connected to procrastination, which I did not know. And I was like, as soon as she helped me to see it, I was like, oh my God, it's so, so true. So I want you to explain to people, Nancy, because now I understand it because I experienced like your definition, like what exactly is a procrastination coach?
Well, what I do is I go at the symptom, because that's what procrastination is, to find out what the cause is. So we dig down to find out why we're having the procrastination in all its forms, whether it's plain old vanilla procrastination or avoiding something like speaking in public, or I don't know, self-sabotage. We have these ways of avoiding action that's going to lead to something. And your headache was just one of those ways of avoiding action, because underlying it was some rule that was going to get triggered, something that if you took this action would lead to results that subconsciously weren't safe, weren't allowed, weren't whatever. And so I go with my clients to dig down, figure out what those are, and then again with the tapping, we can let them go, release those subconscious blocks or beliefs, and then taking action becomes easy. You don't have to push through it. It's not about willpower at all.
No, not at all. It's really, to me, it feels like the river is like there's a log in the river, it's blocking the flow. And as soon as you remove that log, then it just flows. It's not about forcing at all. It's about allowing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. I just find it. Now, I've worked with a lot of people that do EFT over the years, and I have to say, you have a level of skill that I've not encountered before. And for people that don't know, well, let's get them up to speed. Let's tell them what exactly EFT is, and then I want to hear a little bit about your story.
Sure. Well, EFT is a technique in which you tap or rub specific acupressure points. They're the same as acupuncture points. Acupuncture has like 100, 200 points. Tapping only uses, I don't know, at most like 17 of those points. But you're tapping on those points to make a change in your brain. And there's different ways of using tapping technique, but the tapping itself is really quite simple. You're just tapping on these points.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm tapping on the main ones that I use right there. That's it. Those are the main ones that get used. There's some others that also get added sometimes.
Yeah. And one of the things that you said that I thought was so fascinating, because I've known about tapping, I've probably been doing it for at least 10 years. But on my own, it's helpful, but I've never been able to get that deeper release that I got with you, or that I've gotten with working with another person. Why do you think it is that working with another person really is the key to, like you said, these blocks resolve and they don't come back?
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I can't do it for myself either. I mean, I have to go to somebody else for this, because it's like you can't see the forest for the trees.
Right.
It's your reality. It just is. So how can I tap to change that? But coming in from the outside, I can see, well, this is coming up because there's something else that is driving it. And to do that for yourself is a really, really challenging thing. It's almost no practitioner can do it for themselves in that kind of deep way. We can do the surface work.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to find something that comes from, I don't know, when you're 6 years old, that's hard.
I know. It reminds me of when people ask me, like, can I clear my own chakras? It's like, well, you kind of can, but if you really want to get to what's underneath of it, I think we have these internal guard or like blocks to keep us safe so that we don't see whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's like trying to give yourself a haircut. I just don't think we're designed to do these things. We need each other totally. Okay. Yeah. So I want you to go ahead and share with us, how did you start doing this work? How did you go from being, having a Harvard law degree? Like, tell us what happened and how did you end up here? I love it.
Okay. Well, I was a callow youth coming out of college. What are you going to do? I went to law school. It's what we did back then. And I did it for 9 years because what are you going to do? But I realized that it wasn't right for me. And looking at it, I realized I really wanted to help people. So I went back to school and did something I'd thought about many years before, which was become a therapist. And that was amazing. That was wonderful. I was grateful to be able to do it. And I did it for over 17 years. But I found that, well, first of all, I wanted a little balance because it's pretty heavy to do all that work with depression and anxiety and PTSD and all the big stuff. So I had a little coaching practice on the side. And I was helping people make career change because I thought I knew a little bit about that by then.
Yeah.
And what I found was that there was always a small group within my coaching practice that knew exactly what they wanted. They knew their goal. They knew what to do to reach it. They even had me as their accountability coach. So they would tell me they were going to do something next week, and they knew they were going to come back next week and tell me if they did it or not. And that often pushes people to take the action because it's embarrassing to come back and say you didn't do it. But there were always a few clients who didn't matter if they had all of these things going right for them. They wouldn't take that action. And they'd come back week after week. I didn't get to it. Oh, something came up. And I got really curious about that. What was that all about? So I brought into my coaching practice this EFT or tapping that I had learned and been using in my therapy practice. I brought it into the coaching practice, first of all, to figure out what's going on. Where's this coming from? And then once I was uncovering all these subconscious rules and beliefs, I could use the tapping to release it. And it was amazing the transformations that people would go through from being totally demoralized, thinking they were bad people or lazy or stupid or whatever, to just like, oh, I can do it. Okay, I'll just do it. And that became really clear to me that was what I meant to do. That's what I'm here to do, is to release people from those old shackles, basically.
Wow, I love that. So it sounds to me like you really discovered that you wanted to help people more than you could just talking about it, because I really believe this. There's an energetic component to what's going on with people a lot of the time, and you can work through something mentally and it can still be kind of stuck in your energy.
It's even in the therapy world, they're starting to realize this too. When I started doing tapping, it wasn't really accepted, and I was doing it just because I knew it worked. But yeah, I simply could not do all that I knew I was able to do in the therapy world. So I brought it into the coaching world and help people who don't have depression or anxiety, but do have a purpose in life that they cannot get to because of what's going on underneath.
Yeah, I've seen it myself. I mean, you and I both, we coach entrepreneurs a lot of the time, and I've seen it myself with people, and I've seen it with myself personally, that there are things that I want to do that sometimes you just feel like you're up against this wall, and you're like, what is this? Why can't I just get myself to sit down and write the book? Or, it's like, especially when it's something that you enjoy. I get procrastination around things that you don't like doing, like I have to finish my taxes later today. Like I get that. But when it's something that you enjoy, I think that's the thing that can be so frustrating for people, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And that is why, well, I'll periodically have people coming to say, can you work with my teenage son or daughter? It's like, no, because it's usually it's something they don't want to be doing. And that's not what this is about. This is about a rule, something that tells you it's not safe to go forward with something that you really want. It's not right. You're not allowed. And so that can be just baffling if you don't see where it's coming from.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about the topic of money, because this is something I've been talking about in the last few episodes, and we're focusing on it. It's kind of like my 4-part series here. Money blocks. A lot of people feel like, oh, like I'm stuck with money, or I can't make a certain amount, or I can't raise my fees, or they just have a recurring pattern, whatever that pattern might be. Maybe they have a lot of debt or something like that. So how have you been able to help people with money blocks? And maybe tell us what your definition of a money block is. Let's start there.
Okay. Well, a money block is it's one of these subconscious rules or beliefs that I've been talking about that really gets in the way of bringing in the kind of money that you're allowed to have or you should have. You see it. Or if it comes in, it'll cause you to send it right on out again. So you never get the benefit that you're looking for. That's how I see it, a money block. It's that subconscious belief getting in the way. And it's interesting because I found that money blocks are some of the biggest causes of procrastination out there. That's how I got into this piece as well as procrastination. They're like hand in glove. Okay. I mean, the first time I really came across this is a fascinating story. I had a client who was a therapist who came to me because she wasn't sending out her bills. She was doing everything else right, but when it came time to send out the bill, she wasn't doing it. And she's like, her business was on the line. She was not going to be able to keep her doors open. So what I had her do was imagine she was sitting down right then and getting the bills written and sent out. And as she's imagining this, I asked her, well, okay, what's coming up for you now? And she said to me, I just know I'll know I won't amount to anything.
Mm. Wow.
Like, where's this coming from? Turns out, as we quickly dug into that, that was a message she'd gotten from a stepfather when she was growing up, over and over again. And I mean, consciously, she was fighting that one. She'd gone to school, she'd created this wonderful, wonderful practice, and she was really quite successful in it, except for the money part. And that's where she was following that rule because she wasn't amounting to anything. Her bank account was literally not amounting to anything.
Wow.
And so it was fascinating. We tapped on some of those memories with the stepfather and released him. And then she just started sending out bills. And I thought, well, that's fascinating. So I kept doing, I kept looking for these things and finding them everywhere I went with my clients. I have clients who come to me because they have the money ceiling, like they're only allowed so much more money and no more. And so you'll see them doing things like not raising their rates, or they won't finish a product, or they'll finish the product and then not get it out there because subconsciously they know if they do these things, they'll make more money. And that goes against a rule, like maybe a belief that they developed as a kid that wealthy people are bad, or people in my family don't have money and I have to fit in with my family. Or I had one client who had a belief that she wasn't allowed to make more money than her brother because that's
Yeah,
the way
I've
the
heard
family
that.
worked.
I've heard that a lot. Yeah, not being able to do that.
And it would cause her to do whatever to bring the money scene right back to where it was safe, where it was comfortable, even though it was uncomfortable because it wasn't enough. It was nevertheless okay with that childhood rule. So that'd be a money ceiling. I've also had clients who are on the money roller coaster, which is that's a tough one too, because they're working hard, the money's coming in, and then they'll just back off, and the money will not be coming in, and then they'll have to scramble and up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
And I've even seen it that's really clearly procrastination, but I've also seen it where the money's coming in and then suddenly they'll get hit with a big bill. The roof needs to be repaired, or the car breaks down, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's happened to me for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, what's going on? Why can't I ever get ahead? So it's those patterns like you're talking about. And again, there's a belief that it's not safe to have money. I've had several clients have bad things happen to a wealthy family member. I had one person whose grandfather was arrested, and
Wow.
and it was like they were a little kid when it happened. Was it because of the grandfather had a lot of money? It's possible, actually, but we don't know. But that's the way that as a child she made sense of it. And then there was another client whose uncle became alcoholic, and I'm willing to bet that money wasn't the cause of the alcoholism. But as a kid, he decided that must be it. And because we don't want bad things to happen to us, we're going to make sure we never have too much money, because then something bad will happen, right?
Yeah. It's true. It's like these things, because kids don't understand how things work. And so we make up these rules in our mind, or they're given to us by our family. And
Yeah.
then the next thing you know, 40 years later, you're still walking around living as if these things are true that you believed when you were 4, 5, 6, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I like this concept about safety. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that, because it's my own personal theory, especially with women entrepreneurs and women in general. I haven't seen them be able to go beyond where they feel safe. And I think this money thing is a really big deal because it's connected for women in a lot of ways with power. I think women have a lot of mixed feelings about power.
Definitely. I could see that a lot. I would not limit it to women, but women have it in a huge amount for some reason. And I think maybe you're right. Maybe it's we're raised to think we're supposed to be supportive of everybody else. We're not supposed to stand out in that way. And I've seen a lot of things around success and being seen, being the
Yes.
limiter
Yes.
on.
Talk about that. Please
So
talk about that.
So in that case, somebody would come to me with the problem around money. I can't make more money. I'm not raising my rates, whatever it is. And when we go digging, what we come up with is it's not. If I have money, then something bad will happen.
Right.
Whether it's my dad will get mad at me, or the people won't like me. And for a child, you have to be loved. You have to be accepted in the group, or you actually will die. So this is
Right.
sort of like hard wiring in us. But
Right.
how do we make sense of it? How do I stay being liked? How do I stay being cared for? That's where the rule comes up. And if as women or girls were raised to believe that we have to be a certain way, nice, supportive, caring for others, everyone else comes first, all of that stuff goes straight into the rule book that we have to work from.
Right.
And then how can we possibly be more successful, have more money than other people? How can we even take the time to work on our business enough when that takes time away, we are thinking, from the other people who are maybe more important than us, we have to show that we are a good person by taking care of them. That's what I see over and over again.
Yeah, I know. I can totally see it. I see it at my end too with people, and that it's so fear-based that, like, if I step out of whatever this thing is, I'm not going to be loved, or it's not going to be okay, or somehow if I'm successful, then it's going to make someone else feel less, or whatever. I mean, there's like a myriad things it could be. And I just love the fact that you're picking this whole thing up through the lens of procrastination, which I just wouldn't have thought to look there. I just wouldn't have thought to look there. So in terms of being able to really unblock the money miracle, I mean, to me, it's a miracle. I've experienced money miracles through my life, and a lot of them have come around. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was actually doing some of the stuff that you're talking about without the tapping, obviously, at the time, but being able to break through old beliefs and go, no, I'm going to do this anyway. And then have things that normally would hold me back, not hold me back. But there've been few and far between. It's not like I can count on a regular basis. So I want to know for people who are listening, some of the ways that you help people, like in terms of, do you work with people one-on-one? Do you have like group format? Does it make a difference if people are oriented more towards a group or one-on-one? Like how does it work specifically? Because I know this whole thing about money blocks is something that's kind of emerged for you. It wasn't the thing you necessarily were going to start working with. Is that right?
True, very true. I started with one-on-one work with people, and I still do that. I still do private coaching, and I've got different ways. And for somebody with a lot of issues, we're going to work for 6 months. For somebody who has one thing that happened recently, that's just going to be a short, maybe at most 2 months thing. But the one-on-one was the way I could really dig down and find the individual causes of things. And it took me a while to get to the point where I would offer a group. But now I have a group, and the group is around money blocks because there's so much commonality there. And so we're tapping together on common blocks, and then I will have a hot seat, 2 different hot seats during a session. And so everyone gets at least 2 hot seats for their specific things. But because it's so common, and those we're all tapping along with the one person, everyone's getting benefits from it. So what I found is that that group for money blocks has been really valuable and a way to get even more done by having more people involved. So I love doing that for people. So I somewhere down the road, I'll probably have other groups as well for other issues. But at the moment, it's the private coaching and the group for money. And I've done that. I'm going to be starting again in April. I'm doing it once a quarter, basically. So we'll start in April.
Oh, that's so great. So it's done more in a group format, and people can find out about that on your website. And we'll be definitely putting the information in the show notes of where you can get in touch with Nancy and how you can find out more about the programs that she's offering. I'm wondering, I don't want to put you on the spot. Feel free to say no, but I'm wondering, should we demonstrate something to people? Would that be okay? Or
certainly, we can certainly do that. What I do like to do is do a little tapping for stress.
Okay.
Because everybody has that, and it's
Okay.
an easy thing to notice and recognize and measure.
Okay.
And I'll just keep it really on the surface. Don't want to go too deep on this here. And just see, so everyone can experience tapping.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay?
I think that's great. I'm going to do it with you.
All right. So everyone should just check in and see where your stress level is right now on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is you got nothing. You're fine. In which case, pick something else.
Right.
Like maybe check if you've got a little twinge in your shoulders or something like that. Go for something physical and measure that. 0 was nothing. 10 is as bad as you can imagine. So put a number down, because what happens when you tap and you bring the number down, sometimes you forget that it was as high as it was.
Sure.
It's a fascinating experience. Anyway, so pick that, put a number to it. We're going to tap together. So just tap where I tap. Take 2 fingers and tap where I tap. You're tapping about as hard as if you were drumming your fingers on a tabletop. So don't leave a bruise, but don't whiff it either. Just
okay.
It's just solid. Okay. And Frances, will you be my echo? So I will say something and you repeat it back.
I will, and we want to make sure we give lots of detail for the people that are audio only.
Okay. Oh, I will cue you for where you are tapping. And if you're driving, don't do this.
Right. Please.
Pull over. Okay. So you're tapping with 2 fingers from one hand on the side of your other hand, under your little finger between that knuckle and your wrist. There's that fleshy part on the side of your hand. So
yeah, that's like
again.
Karate chop. That's what that.
Yeah.
Right
there on the side of your hand. So tapping there, and repeat after me if you would. Even though I have this stress.
Even though I have this stress.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm feeling stress right now.
Even though I am feeling stress right now.
That's okay, and I'm okay.
It's okay. I'm okay.
So even though I have this stress.
So even though I have this stress.
I deeply and completely accept myself and my stress.
I deeply and completely accept myself and my stress.
Okay, now tap where one of your eyebrows starts. Don't care which eyebrow. You can cross over and switch.
Okay, so we're tapping right here, kind of the bridge of the nose, right where the eyebrow starts.
Right. And just say this stress.
This stress.
Side of your eye, right on that ridge of bone there. Don't hit yourself in the eye. This stress.
This stress.
About an inch below your pupil. I'm just feeling stressed out right now.
I just feel stressed out right now.
Now between your nose and your lip. All this stress I've been feeling.
All this stress I've been feeling.
Okay, on that line on your chin. I'm not even sure where it's coming from.
I'm not even sure where it's coming from.
But I'm feeling stressed.
But I'm feeling it.
Okay, now make a fist and just go where a man would knot his tie. That's your collarbone. I can hold on to the stress if I want to.
I can hold on to this stress if I want to.
But I'll let it go if I don't.
But I can let it go if I don't.
And take your 4 fingers and go about 4 inches down below your armpit. All this stress I've been feeling.
All this stress I've been feeling.
Taking all 5 fingers, go to the very top of your head, make little circles there. All this stress.
All this stress.
Okay, that was a single round.
Okay.
And this would be the point where you go back and you check. Again, on that same 0 to 10 scale, how much stress are you feeling now? Is
Mhm.
it still, if it was a 6, is it still 6 to go up a little bit? Did it come down? If it went up, that probably just means you're paying attention to it. And so do a little bit more tapping. So now it'll come down, because the tapping goes for what's basically at the front of your mind. And that will have its, where it has its most effect.
That's great.
Okay,
So I had started out at 7 and I went down to about 4. So that's pretty good.
excellent.
So I would
Excellent.
just keep going, right?
You could keep going, yeah. And you bring it down as far as it will go. Now, sometimes you can bring it back down to 0, and that's wonderful. Sometimes it's not going to go all the way down. Sometimes you have a migraine that won't go by yourself, but
Right.
you need to go for the cause of it.
Right.
And that's where the practitioner earns their nickel.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I would be going through that, you would be guiding me, but you would also be asking me, is that right?
Oh yeah, and listening for what you say, because my clients will tell me exactly what's going on without realizing it.
Right.
Say, well, this is so frustrating to me, because I was going to do this and then I was going to make a lot of money from it. Oh, really?
Right.
Well, what will you have to do when you have a lot of money? Have to do what? Well, I suppose, and then up
Yeah.
comes whatever it is.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Awesome. All right. Any other things that you want to share with us before we wrap up
Oh,
today? Yeah,
well,
tell
if
me.
it's okay, I have a gift for your
Oh,
listeners.
we love gifts. We love gifts. Yeah, because I was going to say to you, if people want to connect with you, how can they do that? What would the next steps be?
Well, they could certainly go to my website, unblockresults.com, and there's a way to either reach out to me by email or a phone number to call up, and we'd set up a call where we could talk and see if there's a fit between what's going on with them and what I do,
Awesome.
and what might be the right way to go forward from there. But they could also go pick up that free gift. It's at unblockresults.com/miracles.
Oh, that's so great.
So that should be memorable right there. It's a 3-video series. It's called Start Tapping to Stop Procrastinating. So there's the 3 tap along videos. First one is just for plain old procrastination, to lower your resistance to taking action. The second one is this subtle tapping move that you can do if you're avoiding doing things in public, because people won't notice you're doing it, but it'll lower your stress levels. It's really kind of cool.
Okay.
And the third one is to raise your money ceiling. And so
Yeah.
they're all about tapping.
Let's go there. So it's unblockresults.com/miracles. That's specifically for the listeners of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. And I'm going to go over there and get these videos myself. These sound awesome, Nancy. I'm so, so grateful. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so very much, Frances.
Yeah. And I just want to remind everybody that I want to hear your results. What happens when you go to Nancy's site? Let me know how you do with the tapping videos. Were you able to do them? What other money miracles are you in the process of manifesting? And as always, just to remind everybody, the key to magnifying your miracles is to remember that your miracle is already here. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye.